The following production is brought to you by Derrick Lamon Enterprises, a subsidiary of LBM Entertainment, exclusively licensed for use on Patreon.com. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Patreon.com/The Derrick Lamon Experience, your one-stop shop for your gaming news. Of course, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson. How the hell are you guys doing? I am moving this up for patrons to Friday. Dissecting the Ducks is in the morning, and this will be Friday afternoon. And then I'm going to move it up on the free feeds to Sunday. And then college football playoffs and rankings and all that stuff should follow. The reason for that is because the schedule got quite clustered because now there's 2 college football shows during the week. So I wanted to kind of offset the schedule a little bit. Thank you guys for your patience. How the hell is everybody doing? I'm doing great. Just got done unboxing and syncing the PlayStation Portal to my PlayStation 5. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I do have an unboxing video up there. It's not the greatest, but I did what I could. Thank you very much. Kind of a slow week in gaming news, to be completely honest with you. I didn't see too much, but there is some stuff out there that's going on. Jesus Christ, what the hell is that? In news, really quickly, there's some Persona 6 news. Now, Persona 5 Tactica is out on Friday. At the time you guys are hearing this, it will be available, as is Super Mario RPG, and I have a little bit on that coming up. GameStop, for whatever reason, so they called me. They're like, hey. And I'm like, hey. I'm like, it's that time. And they're like, guess what we're not doing? I'm like, what's that? They're like, a midnight release. And I'm like, why are you not doing a midnight release? And they're like, you can pay for it in advance. If it's already paid for, then you got to wait till Friday morning when the store opens to come pick it up. Why are y'all doing this now? Because you had a midnight release for Spider-Man and Super Mario Wonder, which I had Spider-Man digitally, so that thing was ready to go when I got home. But I had to go get Super Mario Wonder. You did a midnight release for Tears of the Kingdom because I was there, I know. But you're not doing one for Super Mario RPG. I don't understand it. I don't know if the pre-order numbers weren't great or what the reasoning behind this is, but I don't like it. To be completely honest, I do not like it. But by the time you guys hear this, I will be playing Super Mario RPG, and I'm going to try to stream some of it this weekend, so stay tuned to the Twitch channel for that information. Anyway, from PersonaCentral.com, Sega targets 5 million sales in debut year for next number Persona title. Persona 5 Tactica is also out today if you are into tactical games. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know Persona 5 is the one that brought a lot of casuals in. There are a lot of people who have been a fan of the Persona series for a long time. Persona 5 is the one that brought the casuals in, and then everybody became this huge Persona fan all of a sudden, to the point where Xbox decided to double down on getting Japanese games for Game Pass, Japanese JRPGs. Persona 3, 4, 5, Persona 5 Royal, or I think I don't have regular 5, they just have Persona 5 Royal. Either way, now everybody's on this Persona wave, and now I'm gonna say it, they're kind of whoring it out, if you ask me. All these people were not all on Persona till Persona 5, and because they found what is, I guess, the commercial really massive hit for the series, because other people love the other ones, but this is like the first one to really hit the consciousness. They're just kind of doing like it was Persona 5. Then they released Persona 5 Royal. But they did like the collector's edition and all this stuff. And I was like, you could have just added the extra stuff in. You didn't have to go all that way with it. But whatever. And now we have Persona 5 Tactica. So I'm just like, I think, what else is there? How many Persona 5 games are there? Let's take a look really quickly. Because I feel like there's another one that I'm not thinking of right now. Persona 5. Persona 5 Strikers. I knew there was a fucking another one. I knew it. Yep. So now you have Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Tactica, and Persona 5 Strikers. Hold on. Persona 5 the animation, an anime television series based on the game's events. I'm gonna have to check that out actually. I'm not mad at that. Persona 5 Dancing in the Starlight. I thought there was another one. A rhythm game for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita. Um, yeah, they're just we're at that point where when a particular part of a series gets really really popular and they're just like we're going all in, we're gonna whore this thing out. I've seen them do it to Final Fantasy 7. Like all the other Final Fantasy entries just were regular Final Fantasy, whatever the number was. And then when they got to 7, because 7 was so popular, then they started adding like Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus and Crisis Core. And not that there's anything wrong with Crisis Core. Dirge of Cerberus should not have been made. Should not have been made. Let's be real about that. So I kind of feel like we're headed down the same path with Persona 5. I really feel like we are. And if we are, I'm not signing up for it. I am not signing up for it. Um I don't know. I just think it's too much. I think it's too much. I think you should like err on the side of caution and just not take a really really good IP and then just like we're gonna mass produce this thing and do all these other different things and it's like just let it exist as it was. But anyway, Sega has published the company's quarterly investor Q&A for the quarter two financial results for the fiscal year ending in March of 24, which is July, August, and September of 23. The respondents were Sega, Sammy's Haruku Atami. Anyway, the Q&A includes an answer about the future sales potential of the Persona series. Question, is there a chance that with this overseas popularity, the Persona series could sell 5 million copies in its first year? Answer, by increasing the number of platforms it is available on in the regions it is released, we have been increasing the sales of Persona 5. We believe that it would be possible for a major Persona title, such as a number release, to sell 5 million copies in its first year by releasing it on multiple platforms and simultaneously worldwide from day one. We also have high expectations for the new IP Metaphor Re Fantasio from the developers of Persona 5. In their fiscal year ending March of 2024 Q1 Q&A session, Sega stated that the Persona series was the one they had high expectations for, with the likely expectation that Persona 3 Reload would sell over 1 million copies. As per last reported numbers, no individual Persona release has yet to sell over 5 million. Between the original release and the remastered port, Persona 5 Royal will have sold at least 4 million copies as of the last reported figures in April of 23. With the Persona 5 series having sold over 9 million copies worldwide. That's what they wanted. And I get it. That's what you wanted. There's nothing wrong with that. I just I think they're taking it too far. I think they're taking it a bit too far. Um I don't know. The, there's a such thing as oversaturation. There really is a such thing as oversaturation, and I've said this on this podcast before about other things, and I'm doubling down on it. And this feels like one of those things that could be oversaturation. But if the people are behind it, you got to make that money, so you do what you got to do. Can't be mad at you. Cannot be mad at you. Do what you got to do. Um. Anyway, in other news, like I said, kind of a slow week for gaming. More rumors about Wolverine being made by Insomniac Games of PlayStation Studios. So these are just rumors. Take this all with a grain of salt, a pinch of salt, if you will. Actually, not even like I don't. What is more, a grain or a pinch? Probably a grain. Take this with a grain of salt. Apparently, Wolverine is releasing in 2024, according to a Insomniac Games concept artist. Insomniac Games concept artist Hung Wing mentions Wolverine as a 2024 release on his production list on his ArtStation profile. Earlier reports also stated that Wolverine is internally targeting a late 2024 release as well. In the now deleted concept art artist Hyung, I think it's Wing, I don't know, who's worked at a number of games in the past and who leaked Death Stranding 2, has now leaked Marvel's Wolverine as a 2024 title plus a new Sony Bend IP for 2025, which it's time. Days Gone released the same day as Avengers Endgame, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's when it was, and that was 2019. That was before COVID, which seems like a long time ago. So it is time for a new game from Sony Bend. Completely honest, it's time for stuff from all the Sony studios. Those games as a service, when they wanted to double down and go all in, and now they're cutting half of them. Do you understand how you put your development studios behind the 8 ball? Like, I really feel like Jim Ryan knew more than he was letting on. And I will tell you this as well. Um, I just feel like Jim Ryan and Herman Holst not the best team to be running PlayStation. You got one guy running PlayStation as a business, and then you got one guy in charge of formerly SIE but PlayStation Studios. I don't know. I don't know. And again, like I said, so many people, so much success over the years, and they tabbed Herman Holst to run PlayStation Studios. That just seems really weird to me. But I digress. It would be awesome if Wolverine actually did come next year. I'm not gonna cross my fingers. The one thing about Insomniac is I do believe they have two teams for sure. They might have three. Apparently the Miles Morales team jumped right on this when they finished Miles Morales, or because there was a team doing Ratchet and Clank, there's a team doing Miles Morales. Apparently, development on this game started late 2021, probably around the time it was released, revealed, which was September of 21. Insomniac, they're kind of wizards, especially when it comes to PlayStation 5 hardware. So if this actually did happen, I would not be surprised. I'm not kidding. Everybody's like, there's no way that game is coming. You guys are trying to cope. I hear you. But we saw the reveal for Wolverine and Spider-Man at the same time. We saw the reveal for Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank at the same time at the initial PS5 showcase. We got Miles Morales the day the PlayStation 5 released, and we got Ratchet and Clank a day after my birthday, June 11th of 2021. So if they do have three teams, which Rob is over at Sony Bend, when we were having the conversation, because a lot of fans were like, what the hell was this? When they had that PlayStation showcase on May 24th, I believe, we were all in that Twitter space. I'm like, Rob, what? He's like, Insomniac has multiple teams, and that's why they are able to have this output. I believe he might have said they have three teams. I would imagine it's at least three, considering the way that the output by this studio is insane. Insane. But like I said, they're wizards when it comes to the PlayStation 5 tech, and if anybody could actually pull it off, I think it would be them. Not saying I believe it's coming next year, but it would be pretty cool if it did, because right now the lineup is pretty sparse as far as first party. We do have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming in February, but that's a third party game. I can't think of anything else first party that we know we're getting next year. I really can't, so I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Sony, a new Sony patent will let you replay a game from any point possible, apparently. In a new patent filed by Sony earlier this month, it was revealed that the tech titan plans to bring about a feature allowing users to cherry-pick exact moments from which they can replay the game. This would actually really help as far as trophy hunters, especially if you're going for the platinum. And some games, there are missable trophies. If it's a game, I'm going to go ahead and recommend this to you. And don't let anybody tell you this is stupid. If it's a game where you know you want the platinum and you want to, like, you're 100% dedicated to this platinum, there are guides that will tell you, hey, this collectible's here, you have to do this. They will tell you, I think it's Power Picks or whatever it is, they will tell you if there are missable trophies and if you can go back and get them, and if there's some trophies that require a playthrough of New Game Plus and stuff like that. Use those guides. If you're going to be going, trophy hunting for platinums, use those guides. Don't let anybody tell you it's stupid or anything like that. They are fucking stupid. Anyway, though, this would really help with that. It's a feature that would empower users to track back through a campaign and select a specific moment in time to change a decision, re-experience something epic, or recount their steps without needing to replay entire chapters or the whole game. Titled Content Streaming with Gameplay Launch, the all-new patent shows a desired process through a series of handy sketches and diagrams. It's shown that gameplay sequences will be split up into sub-chapters complete with trigger points that players can select from, planting them in the heart of a specific scene they want to replay in a matter of seconds. This will be a huge win for content creators. For example, do you want to make a video showcasing how to defeat a particular boss? This is amazing, actually. Well, this new feature, you can jump straight to that fight without needing to tailor a save around it or playing the game up to that point, which might be several hours at least. In the flow put forward in the Sony document, which was shared by Exputer.com, it was revealed that it'll work something like this. As the user plays their game, information regarding media content will be stored, with trigger points being associated with specific data sets. The user will have the opportunity to stream media content over a communication work to their device. These trigger points will be offered to the player while they stream media, watching back through gameplay, which they'll be able to select at will. The game will identify game data associated with said trigger points. Based on the game data associated with the trigger points, the system will launch the interactive title for gameplay by the user device based on the identified set of game data associated with the select trigger point. And we take a breath. That is a lot. That means that while watching gameplay, if you suddenly became enamored and wanted to leap back in, you could. You would have the option to get straight back into the game from the point that you're viewing. This is kind of what they touted, about the SSDs, and not so much the Series X and Series S, but Sony kind of gave us the idea that something like this would be possible on the PlayStation 5. So it sounds like they're kind of getting around to it. There's a lot of information up in the air, but it reads like an interesting enough concept on paper. I can't help but see technical limitations to it. However, is Sony saying that every user session will be backed up somewhere on some centralized server? Either that, or I will tell you this. When you get trophies in Sony games, they will save a video of the moment you earn the trophy. If you go through your storage, I have an M.2 and the standard storage, and then I have the extended the USB storage, USB-A from my PlayStation 4. So like all my PS4 games are on there. If you look through the storage, like it'll have it listed content, games, apps, and all that saves, and then media. If you go under the media tab, you'd be surprised. If you order a bunch of trophies, you would be surprised how much of your hard drive is being taken up by those screenshots and videos from when you get trophies. Also, I take a lot of screenshots and videos when I'm playing, especially PlayStation first party titles, because they're extremely cinematic. You would be surprised how quick that shit gets ate up on the hard drive. Just saying. So if they're adding this as well, you're going to go, you're going to have to watch the media on your hard drive, if nothing else. Also, there's references in the patent publishing history that connects this particular filing with other patents, some of which go back as far as 2019. So has this been Sony's to-do list for several years? So this has been on Sony's to-do list for several years. This is what they talked about with the SSD to a certain extent. So yeah, it could be a case of them patenting it so nobody else claims the process. We'll have to wait and see what happens. That comes from InsiderGaming.com. I'm sure they'll have more on that going forward when they get it. In other news from Video Games Chronicle.com, Wonder Woman job listing suggests it may be a live service game. They never learn, do they? Warner CEO recently revealed plans to turn big franchises into live services. Guys, I'm going to say this again. Everything cannot be Fortnite. Everything cannot be Destiny. Everything cannot be Call of Duty Warzone. It's not going to work with every game. It just isn't. And you guys are going to lose a lot of money, a lot of money doubling down on this shit, because at some point it's going to come to fruition that this didn't work. Bungie told Sony, hey, I know Naughty Dog is like your crown jewel and they do really good work. We saw that live service game they were doing, and I mean, it looks cool, but you ain't going to make any long-term money off of it. And then Sony took people off of the project over at Naughty Dog, only to find out a couple of weeks ago that Bungie would have to lay people off because they missed their target revenue by 45%. So you telling someone that this ain't gonna make any money and you miss your target revenue by 45% and had to lay off employees, well, god damn, that sounds like the pot calling the kettle black. This, Bungie couldn't be any worse at their job. And now everybody's waiting for this Destiny 2 expansion. I learned my lesson with Destiny on the first one when I spent $60 and I was like, this ain't for me. And I never went back. And something about Destiny 2 was this game cannot be good because it was only out a few months and then it was available in PlayStation Plus Games of the Month. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Why is this game already in PS Plus? Why? But they've, been able to continuously pump out the expansions, but then we find out they haven't been hitting their revenue target. And then they had to lay a bunch of people off. So, Warner Brothers, Take a hint out of everybody else's playbook. Everything cannot get the success that Fortnite and Warzone. And Warzone's not even as successful as Fortnite. Let's be real. Fortnite's an outlier. That is not supposed to happen. And what goes up must come down because Overwatch 2 is pretty much dead in the water at this point. I remember Overwatch won Game of the Year. I think it was I think Dragon Age Inc. was, whatever year it was, I want to say it was 2016. They won Game of the Year. And I remember thinking to myself, there's no way you guys think this is the best video game that came out this year. But then I remember what else came out in 2016. It couldn't have been 2016. Uncharted was 2016. Hold on. Maybe they did win in 2016. Game Awards 2016. Let's see. Overwatch did win Game of the Year. How do you like that? Best Narrative, Uncharted 4, Thief's End. That's insane. That is insane. Oh, okay. So Overwatch, Doom, Inside, Titanfall 2, Uncharted 4 were the games nominated for Game of the Year. And of all things, Overwatch beat Uncharted 4. Insane. Yeah, I'm not jacking that. Whatever. Anyway, as spotted by WCCF Tech, the new job ad is for lead software engineer, gameplay, and Monolith Productions. It makes it clear that the role will involve working on the Wonder Woman game. Quote, join the Wonder Woman team and help bring an iconic DC superhero to life, the listing reads. While the job requirements list the typical experience expected from an applicant looking to work on a AAA game, one of the qualities in the, quote, nice to have section refers to live services. There it goes. Hey, it'd be nice if you had these kind of qualifications. So, yeah, this is just, now, I was really excited for this Wonder Woman game. Keep in mind, Warner Brothers had to push Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League back to February when it was supposed to release in June because they showed it to us at that State of Play and we were all like, what is this garbage? Because they made it a live service game. And here we are. They're like, no, just double down on it. This is insane. Specifically, the listing says applicants may have the edge if they have, quote, experience helping maintain a live software product or game. Yeah. So it's definitely going to be games as a service. Although this doesn't conclusively confirm that Wonder Woman will have a live service component. Yeah, it does. We're here to do so. It wouldn't be a great surprise. It would also line up with comments made last week by Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, who said the company was focused on turning its biggest gaming franchises into live service games. Boom. There you go right there. You just said it, and here we find this. This is a live service game. I just want a narrative story, a narrative linear story. If you want to tack a multiplayer live service component onto it, that's fine. I just want to play the campaign. At least give me that. Speaking during the company's latest earnings call, Zaslav discussed plans to transform franchises like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC, which is mainly Batman today, and Mortal Kombat, which he sees as individual billion-dollar gaming franchises into service games. Well, Mortal Kombat's a fighting game, so that works. It doesn't work for... Oh, my God. Never mind. Shut up, Derek. Quote, our focus is transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC-based with 3-4 year release schedules to include more always-on gameplay through live services, multi-platform and free-to-play extensions with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms. They want battle passes where they can earn money. Wonder Woman was announced at the 2021 Game Awards with a brief teaser trailer, but little has been shared about the game since. Warner Brothers has confirmed, however, that the game will use the same patented Nemesis system from the Middle-earth games, which I never played, so I don't know what that would be like. They're going to be in a position where they're going to have to lay people off because they all just think it's that easy to slap some skins on a battle pass and voila. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. There are... I shouldn't even have to say this. Like, it would work with certain stuff. I don't know how it works with this. How many characters in the Wonder Woman universe are identifiable other than Diana herself, right? I don't know. And then Wonder Woman 1984 did not do great. You have to remember that. And we were all super psyched for that one. Super psyched, especially after Wonder Woman. This is a terrible idea. This is about as bad as an idea as Nintendo and Sony deciding we're going to make a Legend of Zelda movie, but it's not going to be animated or even CGI. It's going to be live action. This is going to be like, dear Lord, you gave them eyes though they cannot see. And they never listen to Derrick, so it is what it is. Moving right along. They're going to have to lay people off because of this, though. And this also tells me that we're not getting that game for some time. We're not getting that game for some time. If they're still hiring for somebody, basically it sounds like a community lead position, we're not getting that game till at least 2026. Because it's basically 2024 now, and they're just hiring for somebody for that particular role. That does not bode well at all. Just saying. Unfortunately, speaking of layoffs, Digital Bros Digital Entertainment Group announces an organizational review with an expected workforce reduction of approximately 30%. No significant impact on the expected results for fiscal year 2024. Digital Bros Group has reviewed its project to align with the new competitive environment. This is expected to represent a reduction of approximately 30% of the global workforce, but no significant effect of restructuring costs is expected on the annual projected results for fiscal year of 2024. The video game market has evolved since the pandemic to be more selective in terms of new games, with consumers increasingly reverting to well-established intellectual properties and playing these same games for longer periods. Digital Bros strategy has had to adapt to this new and evolving competitive scenario and will focus its efforts moving forward on the release of sequels and new versions of previously successful and established games with a limited number of new, larger budget projects. Problem with this is then, again, we come right back around to there is a such thing as oversaturation, and people will get burnt out. Remember when Ubisoft was doing an Assassin's Creed every year, and everybody's like, all right, enough. And then they started taking a year off here and there. And then even after the RPG Assassin's Creed games, people were like, okay, can we go back to the original Assassin's Creed? Because I don't really like this. I don't know what is going on in my neighborhood. Hopefully everybody's all right. Sirens keep going by, and I'm sorry if you guys can hear that if the mic is picking it up, which it more than likely is. In order to prioritize high-quality and long-standing successful titles, Digital Bros has reconsidered the number of projects under development, and as such will review the organization structure accordingly to align with the evolving competitive environment in the medium to long term to ensure maximum operational efficiency. The restructuring program is expected to represent a reduction of approximately 30% of the global workforce, with the predominant portion concentrated within the studios. So people are going to lose their jobs because somebody... Never mind. Digital Bros management believes that this program will not impact the expected profit and loss statement for fiscal year 2023-2024, with no significant effect of the restructuring costs on the annual projected results due to the savings resulted from reduced payroll costs. This press release is available on www.digitalbros.com. Yeah, dude, this is getting worse. It's getting worse. And speaking of people being laid off, Embracer Group has confirmed around 900 staff have been laid off since it began its restructure program in mid-2023, with employees hailing from studios including Crystal Dynamics, Private Division, Take-Two, and Volition. In Quarter 2, 2023-2024 financial earnings presentation, Embracer CEO Lars Wingefors thanked these former employees for their contributions while also confirming further layoffs are expected in the coming months. Quote, before we get into the business details of our second quarter, I want to start this conference by saying a personal thank you to the 900 people who left Embracer during the second quarter. Wingefors said, as you will hear today, we are determined to transform Embracer into a leaning, stronger company. That said, it's painful to me that you need to leave the group. Wow, what? It's that you need to leave the group? Buddy, if you wrote this statement yourself, oh my God. Oh my God. And if you didn't write it, whoever wrote it, you should have looked at them like you should proofread and look at them like, You really put this like you need to leave the group. Oh my god. This is so bad. We have been and are doing everything we can to preserve jobs without changing what we need to achieve. Our people are what make up the very fabric of Embracer. For me personally, it's crucial that the program is carried out with compassion, respect, and integrity. But despite this devotion to compassion, respect, and integrity, layoffs will continue at the company. Dude, I'm gonna say this about Embracer Group. You cannot just keep gobbling up IP and think you're going to make all this money. They gobbled up basically whatever was left of THQ Nordic when Square Enix offloaded all their Western studios, Crystal Dynamics, etc., etc. They're like, we'll take those too. They were like, it was like they were going through a studio buffet where they're like, I'll try that, and I'll try some of that, and I'll try some of that too. And it's like, damn, this ain't as good as I thought it was. Hey, guess what? Go away. These are people's lives you're playing with. But we are in the consolidation age of video games, where it no longer means incubating these studios and starting them from the ground up. Embracer's responsible to a certain extent, but you also cannot ignore the fact that Microsoft said we can't beat Sony and Nintendo at their own game. They're just better at making games than we are. Let's run it. Super Mario, just the Switch. Remember the Wii U, everybody's like Nintendo is dead. They come out with the Switch. We get Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey in the first year. We even got Mario Kart 8 with the DLC, which is basically just a reskin from the Wii U. Then we've gotten other stuff. We've got Metroid Dread, and I'm trying to see my Switch cases. So many games for the Switch. So many games for the Switch. And then Sony had this run of first-party titles. Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. What else? Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted 1 through 4, etc., etc. And then Sony had these amazing third-party deals. Let's not forget God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. And then they're like, hey, Final Fantasy 16, you want to make that exclusive to the PlayStation 5? Yeah, do that. Horizon Zero Dawn, new IP, check this out. Yeah, that's cool. Also, let's go ahead and do some deals. Hey, new Gran Turismo. Hey, PlayStation VR. Hey, Cannon Bridge of Spirits. Hey, Sackboy Big Adventure. All these games. And Microsoft, hey, Kojima, I know that Konami treated you really bad and you're a legend and everybody loves you. Why don't you come on over here? We're going to give you this engine so you don't have to build your own engine, and then you can make whatever game you like. And in Death Stranding, we're delivering packages and, I don't know, futuristic, UPS driver. Days Gone, even though not a lot of people played it. Hey, let's put a spotlight on games like Sifu and stuff like that. All this is done, and Microsoft is like, yeah, we can't do that. And yeah, nobody bought Xboxes in Japan, and those that did had to pay to import them over there. We don't have a foothold in the Japanese market. We can't beat them here in the West. Let's just acquire publishers. Hey, Activision, Blizzard, King, come here. Bethesda, ZeniMax, and all your studios, come here. It's consolidation. It's consolidation. Tencent, Microsoft, Embracer Group. Everybody's like, well, Sony bought studios. They bought Housemarque. They bought Bluepoint. They bought Insomniac. They bought Bungie. That's 4 studios. Oh, Firesprite, I'm sorry. Hold on. There's more. They bought individual studios. They didn't buy whole publishers. Do you see what I'm saying here? This is bad for business, and a lot of people are losing their jobs. We are in a very, very bad financial crisis, especially in the United States of America. More people are going to lose their jobs. I'm very sad to report that, but it is true. This is just the proof of it. You can't keep doing this shit like expecting things to flip over. Because people are putting out half-ass games. Look how Rockstar put out that Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition trilogy, and it was so bad. So bad. Remember, Capcom had to get money from Sony to finance Street Fighter V. Microsoft's like, they money had it the game. There wouldn't have been a Street Fighter V if PlayStation hadn't ponied up the money to pay for the development of that game. Right? So while we're waiting for BioShock 4 and the Max Payne and Max Payne 2 remakes and all these great games, there's a lot of people unfortunately losing their jobs out there, and it's a scary time. And all this happening right here before the holidays. It's just not a good look at all. It's not a good look at all. And I feel really bad for these people. Stop chasing Fortnite. That's not going to happen. Like, that's not going to happen to everybody. They have to figure this out because this is absolutely disgusting. And I'm sorry, the solution is not to acquire more studios and things like that. That is not the solution to this. People really need to understand that. I don't know. Lastly, ending on a bright note, again, by the time you guys hear this, I will be playing this game. Super Mario RPG is out. Odds are good you've seen Mario stump a Goomba or kick a Koopa shell before, but you might not have seen him punch a giant lady with a parrot for a hair right in the shins while she sips a cocktail and rides a floating banana. Super Mario RPG is easily one of the quirkiest adventures the mustachioed plumber has ever been on, rightly becoming a standout when Final Fantasy developer Square first released it nearly 3 decades ago. Its 2023 remake is an incredibly faithful recreation of that already awesome RPG with a fresh coat of paint and some small but smart combat updates. Those changes can't completely shake off 27 years of dust, but they do provide a fantastic way for fans like me to revisit this classic while also letting new folk better enjoy just how wild it is firsthand. So this is from IGN. What did they give it? I actually just watched the video earlier. They gave it an 8. 8 out of 10 for a grade. Super Mario RPG is considered a classic for a reason, and this faithful remake makes it easy for anyone who missed it in the SNES era to see why. I actually just played the original about a year ago, and it was a great game. I'm glad that it got a fresh coat of paint. It looks absolutely incredible. Again, by the time you guys hear this, I will be knee-deep in this game playing it, and I cannot wait. Yeah, that's all I got for you right now. Also, I said this to my friends and cousins, and everybody's like, what is going on with Call of Duty? Everybody was trying to jump in, and I was like, they're going the platform route. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if you have last year's game, try to boot it up and see what happens. So for a while, I was playing Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer because the Modern Warfare 3 campaign was only out, which apparently isn't really a campaign. So I'm having a ton of fun playing the multiplayer. And then when the Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer goes live, they block you out of it. You still have to load up Modern Warfare 2, but when you go in, you're locked out of multiplayer. They force you to buy Modern Warfare 3. It is now a platform. So you will load the game essentially on an old Call of Duty that you have, and then you'll have to pay for the new game to re-unlock multiplayer and all that stuff. It is basically going the route of Fortnite, where we update it seasonal. So every year, annually, or maybe every couple of years, depending on what Microsoft decides to do, since it is now their property. This is a mistake, but people are going to continue to play it. However, this is one of the worst. This is actually the worst reviewed Call of Duty of all time this year. I want to point that out. So they need to learn from this mistake early before they go off often and make more mistakes. But I don't know. Sarah Bond is now the head of Xbox. I mean, I think she is. Her and Phil. Phil's in a different role. Matt Booty's in a different role. Sarah Bond, I believe, is head of Xbox. I'd have to go back and check. But congratulations to her and Matt Booty on their promotions. But fix this Call of Duty fiasco. Fix this fiasco. Because they're saying that the reason the campaign, which apparently isn't really a campaign, they're like, it's cinematics and Warzone missions. And I was like, wait, what? They're like, yeah, it's basically cinematics and Warzone missions. They're saying that it took them, they say a Call of Duty game usually takes about 3 years to make. Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, Raven, and Treyarch, they would rotate. That's why everybody's like, how do they do this every year? Because they had different teams rotating, different studios with under Activision. So they're making a Call of Duty game. The minute the new one comes out, the next team is up in rotation, et cetera, et cetera. They're saying this took 16 months to make. 3 years versus 16 months. And they're like, no, it's not true. It's not true. I don't know, man. From what I've seen, it kind of looks like it might be true. Just my opinion. I don't know. Anyway, fix it. That's all I ask. Just fix it. Fix it. If you want my money, fix it. Because I'm not going to pay you right now when the game is in this destroyed state that it's in. Like, literally, I should go back and re-download Vanguard on my Series X and see if it forces me to buy Modern Warfare 3 to play that. Because literally, I own Modern Warfare 2. And I was playing multiplayer. And then the minute Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer went live, they're like, you got to pay us to still play this game, which is going to be the new game, which really isn't new at all. There's not even a zombies mode. I don't think there's there's not a traditional zombies mode from what I understand. This is bad. Hey, Phil, Sarah, Matt, fix this. Fix this now. Fix this now. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this like I end every other episode of the podcast. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, then of course nobody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson, and ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. Peace out.